early writing career. Martin began selling science fiction short stories professionally in 1970, at age 21. His first sale was The Hero, sold to Galaxy magazine, and published in its February 1971 issue. Other sales soon followed. His first story to be nominated for the Hugo Award and Nebula Awards was With Morning Comes Mistfall, published in 1973 in Analog magazine. In 1975, his story, For a Single Yesterday, about a post-apocalyptic timetripper, was selected for inclusion in Epoch, a science fiction anthology edited by Roger Elwood and Robert Silverberg. His first novel, Dying of the Light, was completed in 1976, right before he moved to Dubuque, and published in 1977. That same year, the enormous success of Star Wars had a huge impact on the publishing industry and science fiction, and he sold the novel for the same amount he would make in 3 years of teaching. The short stories he was able to sell in his early 20s gave him some profit, but not enough to pay his bills, which prevented him from becoming the full-time writer he wanted to be. The need for a day job occurred simultaneously with the American chess craze, which followed Bobby Fischer's victory in the 1972 World Chess Championship. Martin's own chess skills and experience allowed him to be hired as a tournament director for the Continental Chess Association, which ran chess tournaments on the weekends. This gave him a sufficient income, and because the tournaments only ran on Saturdays and Sundays, it allowed him to work as a writer 5 days a week from 1973 to 1976. By the time the chess craze subsided and no longer provided an income, he had become much better established as a writer. While he enjoyed teaching, the sudden death of friend and fellow author Tom Reamy in late 1977 made Martin reevaluate his own life, and he eventually decided to try to become a full-time writer. In 1979, he resigned from his job and moved from Dubuque to Santa Fe, New Mexico, at the end of the year. There he would live alone for almost 3 years, a period he described as tremendously productive in regard to writing. Martin is a member of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America SIFWA. He served as the organization's Southwest Regional Director from 1977 to 1979, and as its vice president from 1996 to 1998. In 1976, for Kansas City's Mid-Americon, the 34th World Science Fiction Convention Worldcon, Martin and his friend and fellow writer-editor Gardner Dozois conceived of and organized the first Hugo Losers Party for the benefit of all past and present Hugo-losing writers on the evening following the convention's Hugo Award ceremony. Martin was nominated for 2 Hugos that year, but lost both awards for the novelette and 7 Times Never Kill Man and the novella The Storms of Windhaven, co-written with Lisa Tuttle. Although Martin often writes fantasy or horror, a number of his earlier works are science fiction tales occurring in a loosely defined future history, known informally as the Thousand Worlds or the Man Realm. In 2017, Martin recalled that he had started writing science fiction horror hybrids in the late 1970s to disprove a statement from a critic claiming that science fiction and horror were opposites, and therefore incompatible. Martin considered Sand King's 1979 the best known of these. Another was the novella Night Flyers 1980, whose screen and television rights were purchased by Vista in 1984, which produced a 1987 film adaptation, Night Flyers, with a screenplay co-written by Martin. Martin was unhappy about having to cut plot elements in order to accommodate the film's small budget. While not a hit at theaters, Martin believes that the film saved his career and that everything he has written since exists in large part because of it. He has also written at least one piece of political military fiction, Night of the Vampires, collected in Harry Turtledove's anthology, The Best Military Science Fiction of the 20th Century, 2001. In 1982, Martin published a vampire novel titled Fever Dream, set in the 19th century on the Mississippi River, in the heyday of the great paddle steamers. Unlike traditional vampire novels, in Fever Dream vampires are not supernatural creatures, but are rather a different species related to humans created by evolution with superhuman powers. Critic Don DeMassa has praised Fever Dream for its strong 19th century atmosphere and wrote, "This is without